Yo guys, we're back. Another episode of 2911 podcast. Yeah guys, you just kind of flooded our questions. So we're going to come back with more. We're going to get through some more. We're not going to waste any time. We're going to start with some quick fire ones.
Just quickly. So how did we end that last episode again?
We're going to start with some quick We're going to start with some quick fire ones. What scripture has been on your heart this month or week?
What did you say?
Anyone want to take? Just
What
anyone take that
been in
one.
our heart?
What scripture has been on your heart this month or week?
Romans 12, 11 and 12.
And to share why?
Yeah, just say not lagging in diligence, fervent in spirit, serving the Lord, rejoicing in hope, and being constant in prayer. It's just a beautiful summary of what I need to keep doing.
I'd say for me, it's been like Deuteronomy 1 and Deuteronomy Deuteronomy chapter 1 and chapter 2, just about like Israel, the promised land, them like not, I guess, adhering to the promise of God, and like just all about kind of faith, obedience, and having a bold kind of courageous spirit.
Mine's been Psalms 4:7. You put more joy in my heart than they have when they're grain and wine abound. I'm just happy in it. I've just seen that crisis. My happiness in it. So that matters for me.
For me, Isaiah 49:15-16 around there talks about you're etched into the palms of God's hands. And I think it's just an interesting imagery, and like makes me think of the thing about us being His handiwork, and it just kind of it talks about basically God not forgetting us. So that's been.
For me, I actually generally don't have one. Like I think there's like multiple ones. So Philippians 4:13. It's definitely one that stuck to me in terms of like seeking God for strength, I would say. But yeah, there was the pick one. Yeah, I didn't say that one actually.
I've seen apostles blow in a mic and angels fall down. What's that about?
Wait,
Angels.
Maybe that's what they've written.
Wait,
maybe
read it out. How
I've
does it read?
seen apostles blow in a mic and angels fall down. What's that about?
I don't know what that's
I
about.
don't know about angels falling down. About it.
I think maybe they've seen apostles blowing a mic and say that, and then saying that angels fall down. What's that? What's that about?
I don't know about angels falling down. I think be careful about that stuff as well, innit?
I think
Angels
honestly,
falling down, I don't know.
honestly speaking, what I would say is, if you've seen it online, I can't give you much explanation. If you've seen it in church, ask said apostle, because I can't tell you anything. However, one thing I can say is that something I will say is me and Quaz went to this church fellowship event kind of thing, and one of the pastors I was speaking said this thing, that a person with an experience is not at the mercy of somebody with an argument. And basically what that means to say is that certain things, if somebody says they've experienced something, just because you can explain why this may not be the case, it doesn't mean that their experience was wrong or didn't happen. And so you see, like for example, let's say somebody blows and I don't know, the power of God overcame them, etc., etc. Just because it doesn't make sense to you doesn't mean it didn't happen. And sometimes whether it could be the laying of hands or the blowing air or wind, whatever, is not what is causing things to happen, but it's a physical representation of spiritual realities. So for example, in the story of the woman, I think, is it the woman with the issue of blood, the one who touched Jesus' garment?
Yeah.
The power wasn't in the garment, but
The touch.
it's the touch that, but it's the faith, it's the power of God, etc. Similar, what situation is it? Is it Elisha or Elijah who lay on somebody and then they rose from the dead?
Or even the ones, who was it that?
Because he had double.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and there's also a situation, is it Peter or John, somebody walked past somebody and the shadow healed them. But all of this is to say that all of these situations, it's not the walking or the laying or the hands or the garments that cause the healing or the power. It's not. It's the Holy Spirit doing the work through this vessel. But sometimes these physical things are representations of that. And obviously then the question comes of, then why is it necessary? And sometimes it's not about what's necessary, but the symbolism is important, just for the pure fact that to kind of point as a marker to the thing that's happening. So for example, I can pray for Naps, but same way we'll say, let's join hands, and you'll pray for him while holding the hands, kind of just as a show of the intimacy as I'm blessing him in prayer. So that's what I was saying. I can't speak for any individual apostle that's blowing into mics and angels falling down, etc. but that's just to say that certain things that maybe look weird or
Yeah,
crazy are not always wrong. But if you're ever in a situation like that and you're confused, ask if possible.
By the way, guys, I was supposed to be quick fire. He gave us a sermon, bro.
Do any of you guys have a mentor or like someone who disciples you, and how important is it to have one?
Yeah.
If you do.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Go on,
Does
mentor.
anyone,
Quick fire.
does anyone
I
have one?
think I'd say get a mentor that.
Do you have one?
That's not the
Yeah,
question.
that's what I'm saying. No, I said read the whole question because he said
Do you guys have a mentor,
Mentor.
or someone who disciples you, and how important is it?
there you go.
As
I
a
was asking
result,
that as well.
Yeah.
But I got a mentor, and I chose to have a mentor that's he eventually became the pastor of the church, the youth church, innit? But I chose him because obviously he was older than me. He'd been through a bit more. He knows life more than I do. So and it's helped me a lot because of the age gap thing. I guess, innit? Like he can talk to me about things like marriage, but like I don't know anything about it. I just know what the Bible says. But he gives me that. Okay, but this is my experience of it and whatnot. So, but it's definitely helpful. It's really good. It's kind of nice to have someone that isn't seeing things as you do, because sometimes we can get trapped in the circle we're in and we all see things the same way, innit? But someone
That's
with due
good.
respect.
For me, I actually don't, but something that I've brought to my prayers to hopefully have. I think one thing I've realised, especially from last year, I realised a lot that sometimes when it comes to like pouring with people, like pouring into people's cups, like my cup can be empty. And I went to a valuable retreat. Shouts the boy Victor on that one. Very, very good. Like it taught me that I need people around who could also pour into me, like words of wisdom, just someone to offload and just, seek a different perspective, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I won't go into too much detail because it's quick fire, but doing stuff like therapy kind of opened up to me, like some mentorship, like some good people's, but so definitely something I want to see this year.
No, but guys actually just don't know the definition of quick fire.
No, literally, quick fire. Yeah.
No, you can't talk.
you were sure that you didn't
By the way, that's not a quick fire question though. You can't ask me about apostles blowing into marriage and ask a quick fire. Like that's
So
not.
yes
You just say,
or no?
you can just-
It's not a yes or no question.
That's not a question. This is a yes or no question. You have to have someone who mentors and
The
disciples.
beginning part is, but the second part isn't though. Like,
Bro,
the
fair,
second part is like how? Like,
Yeah, no, it's a similar
how question can't be.
Bro, somebody. That first
Someone said
question.
yes as an answer.
Bro,
I
that first
said no.
question. That first question is not quick fire. There's no quick fire.
We'll go to the next.
Give us a real quick fire.
This next quick fire one is only for me.
It always.
Question for Daniel: why do you work in ministry? What were the biggest surprises, challenges, and how do you?
That's not quick fire.
No, but I can do it quick fire. No, I can do it quick
Wait,
fire.
is it you that's saying that
I
this
feel
question
the
is quick
fire
fire?
question is yes or no, and then there's no need for explanation.
These are not quick fire questions.
Yeah, but there
bro.
was no yes or no question, so we had to think of a quick fire category.
Alright,
There literally wasn't any yes or no questions. I wish.
I hear it. Let's see how we
I'll try and do it. Why do I work in ministry? Because I guess God called me to do it in 2022. I felt like God gave me a vision that I'd be doing full-time ministry. It just came. I just never knew it would come as fast as it did. So yeah, I'm on a journey to
Sounds
become a
like
pastor.
marriage.
What were the biggest surprises? I think probably how much work. There's actually a lot of work. Like it's a lot of work. Like this week I had 3 sermons that I prepared. And then lots of admin. You do lots of admin. Obviously, my role is like a youth pastor, ministry assistant. And so you think it's just all about preaching the word, but there's lots of admin and things like that, especially as a youth pastor, safeguarding, all of that kind of stuff. So that was probably the biggest surprise. Biggest challenge is definitely rest. There's lots of late evenings, midweek service, Bible study, youth when I'm teaching, and then sometimes on Sunday if something happens. So just rest, and also like the split between personal devotion time and preparation time. If you have to write 3 sermons in a week, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard. And then also lots of late evenings make it hard for kind of personal devotion. So that's probably been the hardest thing. How do I deal with people judging me? I don't really know what that means, in all honesty. I don't think anyone judges me. Like, I don't know. How do I deal with people judging me? I don't feel judged by anyone. Maybe people seeing me.
Have people?
No, I don't really
Maybe it's
get.
something you just don't know, bro.
Judging me as what though?
I don't know. Maybe saying you're unique because you recommend.
Or like even saying like, why are you doing that?
Yeah, actually, no, yeah, I have. Somebody has judged me, actually. I don't care. See, I'm fairly quick fire.
So what would you have done? If you want the ministry? What would you have done if you want the ministry? Do you think? Quick fire.
I wanted my dream
Straight, man. Say it straight.
my dream job was to be a sporting director of a football team, American football team.
See, simple.
Yeah, because that's a one answer.
There's no more. The rest of them are not.
Bro, burn the quick fire. Let's just answer the question.
no,
bro.
that's what,
And
okay.
any
Cool.
question we don't answer, we can turn them into episode plans for later.
We'll get into this one. I guess this is probably going to be more me and Bien. What do you do if you've been selected to lead your small uni fellowship? Why did smalls? I don't know. Small something made me laugh. But you don't feel confident already. Any tips?
I remember when we were picking leaders when we left, and one of the things when me and DSK were having a conversation, we said that the person's confidence and readiness has nothing to do with the criteria for leadership. When you look at people like Moses, people like that Gideon, yeah, those are I think the two examples I actually spoke about at the time that they were not confident already. However, it depends where your confidence or readiness comes from.
Yeah.
For example, if your lack of confidence or readiness comes from the fact that you're a new believer, turn down the role. If your lack of confidence or readiness has come from the fact that you believe that God has clearly directed you that this is not your place, turn down the role. If your lack of confidence or readiness comes from the fact that you know that maybe the way that you're living your life at the time doesn't set a good example for other believers, turn down the role. If your confidence or readiness not being there comes from the fact that you're just scared, pray and go ahead, innit?
Yeah, I'd say one thing, a tip is that nobody who's accepted a post, I think, is ready. No one who's been given a post is ready. Like, they might look ready, but when they accept it, they realize, oh my days, I need to do this or I need to do that. And like, there's gonna be anyone who accepts a new position, even if they've been in that sector, there's always something different and something new to learn. And so I don't think that should discourage you. And also, in terms of any tips, kind of speak to the people who've led before you, like people who've, because I'm sure they were the people who led before you will also tell you that they probably didn't feel ready as well.
Yeah.
So like speaking to the people that are around you, having some wise counsel.
And also, last tip, to this day, I don't think I've ever done anything better than leading a fellowship. And so it genuinely is an amazing experience. So if you have the opportunity, I'd say take it.
Quick question though, quickly. Where do you guys think, like, you know, you're listing things. What about like knowledge? Do you think, I know you said about new believer, but do you feel like some people be like, oh, like they might have you might see the capacity in them that, oh yeah, they can lead, but like they just think to themselves that, oh, maybe I need to know more. There's more that I need to experience, or like maybe they think they live like a cushion Christian life. If that makes sense. Like, what would you say?
I was even talking to one of the fellowship leaders in our old uni last week, I think, and I was telling her this, that you're not supposed to have every answer.
Yeah.
Like, you're a fellowship leader, and so a lot of it is about encouraging discussion. Or even sometimes you're the one asking questions. Oh, guys, what do you guys think about this?
Yeah.
Or maybe signposting people to where to find
I don't
answers.
think that they should have a certain level of knowledge now.
There is no certain level. Shall I tell you why? Because it's
Not
like,
a certain level, but like
I don't. Do you know
decent
what? I think that,
understanding.
yeah, you should have a decent understanding, but the only decent understanding you should have of who's God, what's the gospel,
Yeah.
Are we saying this
and how you saved. I think anything past that is not a necessity.
Are we saying this because obviously, like, we have to remember
In uni
it's a
fellowship.
uni
Yeah,
fellowship.
yeah, that's right.
This is a uni
We're not
fellowship.
talking.
Like,
No,
like,
church.
this isn't like
Just
a
making
pastor
sure.
that's coming to your church, that's coming to your
And I
uni
think-
and having a fellowship. Now, this is like, guys,
Yeah.
you
I
wake
think
up around you.
Even
you
on
say,
that is like, I always, this is something I always tell a lot of people. Sometimes your purpose isn't to be a pastor in a uni fellowship. I think the number one goal is that you're facilitating a space.
Yeah.
So there's people like
Space holder.
people, yeah,
what's that?
bridge builder, space holder.
Shout out to Bridge Builder, bro.
Builder, bro.
So like,
Yes.
for example,
shout
like,
out to the bridge
if me, Bien,
Oh.
and Pam didn't start Alive, there would be less space for people in Loughborough to fellowship, or less people to come
Yeah.
together and grow in their understanding. And I think that was one of my like main goals. It wasn't like I didn't want to be a pastor of that place. It was like, we have now there's a space in Loughborough. Not that there wasn't any before, but now there's another space in Loughborough where people can really meet and grow in their foundation relationship with God.
Yeah.
So you don't need to be the knowledge head, really.
No.
Like,
Yeah, there was
You
times.
just- you
There was
need to make the
times.
space
There was
too.
times we were walking into our sessions getting spun, bro.
yeah, but
I want to ask you a follow-up question though. In your response, you said
Hey, he's doing the Q&As. I'm joking.
no, I don't want to. I'm not used to this, innit? I don't want to get lost of track in it. But you said one of the points was about readiness. Correct me if I'm wrong, but just about the right time to be ready, and you would say for a new believer, kind of like just call for a little bit. Two things with that. when is a new believer kind of like right to like take that step?
When is a new believer?
And also, two,
Are they ever right?
has there been a case? Has there been a case whereby during you guys' what you guys led, like ministry, has there been someone that has been a new believer and just like accelerated, or like you've seen him or her kind of?
Yeah, I think
gifted
I think first things first, in terms of what counts as a new believer, I know it's a bit weird, but I'll probably say a year. I think a year at least. But a year of, do you know, sometimes you can never know what people do in their quiet time, innit? And so it's kind of just, what do you call it? It's kind of, I think the person selecting should have a conversation with the person. Firstly, I think time-wise, at least a year. Because sometimes 6 months, I don't think you're getting used to the ropes. But 1 year minimum, and I think there's certain questions you should be able to answer. Mm-hmm. So for example, who is God, or what's the character of God? You should be able to give some sort of summary that aligns with what the Bible says. Yeah. What is the gospel? You should be able to explain that.
Salvation.
Just some basics. That's when you know you're not a new believer. Looking at Hebrews 5:11 to the beginning of Hebrews 6, talking about you should be past these stage of the elementary principles. Do you know the basics, and could you pour those into somebody else? Yeah. That's when you know you're no longer a new believer.
Bit of backstory as well. Like Old Testament stuff and that as well.
No, I don't think that's so important.
You don't think so?
No.
You think you can?
But if you ask me who's Jacob's dad or wife, I'm gonna still tell you I have no clue.
No. I mean like,
like the law.
The idea of like the law.
Nah, I don't think that's important.
You don't think that's important?
No. And yeah,
nice to have.
Tommy, obviously, I'll name drop. Anybody that's seen or knows Tommy, when Tommy was in Alive, like he just started really taking his faith seriously, bro, to the moon.
That's crazy. Shout out to boy Tommy, man. Favorite kind of topics for us Christians. These are more relationship, romance based. Had one of the most likes though. But I think this one's
shocker.
But I think this one actually isn't like plantain. Okay. This is actually good. How do you define friendships with people of the opposite sex? How do you know they're not just playing the long game? The children of God have scared me this year.
Okay, cool. It's funny because I posted this, was it today or yesterday, about date your friends.
I
can't lie, I've been pushing this agenda over the past couple of months.
Was there someone in mind when you posted that?
What, I have a girlfriend? Are you talking about?
No, you. Chill, you see? No, you see? Don't do that.
This is what I said about sitting on this chair, bro.
No. This one.
Bro, what?
No. Don't do that now. Don't do that now. No. He chose to take it there. This one, he chose to take it there. No. You could have. Hey, brother, bugged out. You could have taken time. Don't make me.
No, I get what Nat's saying though.
But you see why?
But I get why you said that as well.
If anything, ask for a bit of clarity. That's all you had to do. That's all you had to.
Sorry,
but that's cool. Let me just explain it. Honestly, like, did you have in mind like two friends that you know are like just friends that you think?
No. Do you know it's not? I'm just biased in the sense that I feel like it would be more fun going to the weddings of two people that are my friends. So
that is true as well.
And it just so that's kind of why I'm encouraging it. But also, I do genuinely believe that see this whole thing about don't be scared about people playing the long game. Shall I say why? Let me just say why.
Let them cook.
Firstly, let them cook, like. I think also because I said this to somebody the other day. Cool. So you're gonna go to a 2911 podcast or some event or some motive or whatever. You see somebody outside. Oh, Rush, she's pretty. You chat to her, get her socials. Cool. You might be believers, both of you. You have a conversation. After a couple of conversations, you realize. It's not really working. You have a friend, you have an established communication pattern. You know that you like their character. You know what they like, they know what you like. You lot already get along. Most of the groundwork is done. Why are you trying to find unicorns, bro?
But do you think that there should be
wisdom?
How to explain it, like, because maybe it might be unfair on the other party, if that makes sense. Like, because you're like, she's just thinking that you man are you're trying to be her friend.
But you're not. You
got a long-term goal, if that makes sense. You got a long-term goal.
Do you think that he should let him?
This topic for the future.
I believe I actually had a conversation with one of my brethren. I think I don't know how to say this, but it gets to a point where you have to let her know. I don't know how to draw the line or where it comes.
No, wait, because I do it.
Yeah.
Give you
I did it as well.
Axe didn't do it. Axe was on there. Axe was trying to act like. I'll let you speak on your own relationship. But DSQ, as far as I'm concerned, from when you saw her, You said eventually I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Same way. As for Axe was trying to do this ER. Well, that's
I'll add
continue.
some context to that.
Yeah. You had some context after, but I think it's like this is my rule is this, right? If you, as a guy or a girl, if you see somebody and it's strictly platonic, and then one day you just think about it, it's like, rah, that's different, innit? Because that's sometimes when it occurs. But if it's a thing where from the get-go you're like, yo, I might do. What you do is this, right? You become friends with them, but the moment that you see that your friendship is adding some serious depth to it, I don't know, maybe you're opening up to them, they're opening up to more, but maybe home life, their goals and aspirations. When you can see that there's depth coming to the friendship, that's when you say, by the way.
Yeah.
How did I differ from that? Bro.
Not me.
Anyways,
But yeah, but if it's a thing where you're friends and then you just deeps one day, yo, hey, it's kind of calm. It doesn't get, I can't lie. The boundary is this, innit? Like, how do you, because the question is, how do you, like, what is it? How do you
define friendships with people of the opposite sex?
Just keep it platonic. Don't be weird. Don't be flirting. Like, you can compliment a friend without innuendo.
You can't give them any idea. You can't make them give. You can't give them any idea that you want more. If that makes sense.
Yeah, like.
But sometimes, this thing, because this happened to me once. Like, what's it called?
Oh yeah.
This happened to me once, where she thought there was more, but before Yahweh, God of before Yahweh, the God of Israel, bro. I knew that I didn't do anything. Because obviously there are times, and I think you can be honest with yourself. I remember I reflect and I was kind of ticking the list of criteria. Is there anything that I did to? No, there wasn't a single thing I did. She just got ahead of herself. So, yeah, I think analyze yourself, innit?
But I think I think we should also not be overly dramatic. If somebody who you see as a friend said, because you see that a lot of people say, "Oh, you shouldn't do it because it's awkward." Awkwardness is not real. Let me tell you why. Awkwardness is that you feel awkward in the situation.
Yeah,
it's a choice, bro.
Yeah.
Like. The thing about awkwardness, obviously, if they start moving different or you start moving different, of course it's going to be awkward. But if they say to you, I can't lie, I kind of rate your thing, what are you saying? And then they're like, no, it's not a that. Okay, cool. So then you like have that conversation after, okay, cool. Like, I said it, I was asking, if you're not live, it's cool, we can go back to being friends. Don't be weird about it after just because they asked you. If they're being normal, you be normal too.
After that, man, I'm probably gonna blow up. No, I'm joking. Not always. It's a random thing.
You make it awkward by being different.
It's true.
If you take it on the chin and say nothing. Like,
getting that, dark, getting that Canelo punch to the chin, bro.
I think.
Hey, wait, who's the guy who knocked out AJ recently?
Oh, the wall.
He just has to stand up. Yo, hey, that rocking.
Wait, have that happened to you? Where like a friend has come to you. Was it awkward after?
Yeah, well, he made it awkward.
Can you use words, please?
It's a surprise thing, though.
It's a
like
surprise.
men, they kind of calm down.
Don't talk about all men, bro. Some men, yeah.
Okay, well, I guess him.
But so you're saying there was no, but are you saying there was like no kind of like nothing that you saw that was like, oh, this guy might try to ask me anything stupid?
I guess there was,
but wait, so
was it obvious though?
There's a difference between like thinking that someone's gonna do something and then they actually have the confidence to come to you. And
but wait, so you man were friends. My man tried the switch up thing, and you said no.
Yeah.
And then now you man aren't friends anymore.
We talked, but obviously after the situation, it was very awkward.
It's not back to normal.
No.
Why did he start moving different? Was he not trying to take no for an answer kind of vibe?
Yeah.
Oh, dark.
Oh, yeah, that's different.
But that's different though, because he started. Not to say that he's.
No, but more time, that's where the awkwardness comes from. Because some guys, the girl will say no, then after they try to bust them jokes and that.
You can't bust them jokes anymore. Yeah, it's over, man. I'm a believer that like you got.
Just take
it like.
Bro, just be a man about it.
Why are you afraid of rejection? Hey,
Don't become
square down a sermon about rejection, bro. Why are you afraid of rejection?
Oh, no, it's happened to me before.
And you were just like,
Oh, yeah, I won't lie, I've been rejected before. It happens, innit?
No,
Who hasn't been rejected?
I've been rejected, but like,
I've
never done it like that.
I've been friends with the girl after, but I can't lie. I was on a long time GBG, innit?
It's calm, bro. It worked out in the end.
That's different, though.
It worked out in the end.
Nah,
you didn't get away.
Hey, you're trying to get him in trouble.
No, I said it worked out in the end because you didn't get all back.
yeah, this options.
Wait.
I can't
I'm not talking about my girlfriend now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a blessing that didn't work out. Yeah, come on.
So What were you
I'm not
tuning
nuts,
about
bro.
earlier if you don't understand it until now?
Huh?
What are you tuning about
No,
earlier?
because I was trying to say no, like it didn't. That one didn't work out in the end. You see?
yeah.
But yeah, obviously it all worked out in the end because God blessed me with something greater. Jude, bro.
I'll go to the next one.
Hey.
Yeah, I think this will be quicker. How do you approach the God told me you're my wife, or I see you as
Go
my
away.
wife?
No.
But this person
Go
says
on.
like, it seems like they're being serious because I laugh in their faces, but it's not funny.
Oh wait, no. I think she.
But I don't know if she means it's not funny because the person's actually being serious or like. I don't know.
I think she might be saying. I think from what I read, I believe that she's probably thinking, they're being serious, like they actually genuinely think that God's told them, yeah, this is I'm for you in it.
And she says
she laughs in it. Personally, I think you laughing at them. That is a genuine and okay response. That is actually the correct response sometimes, isn't it? I'm not a believer of firstly like on this whole business of going out to a girl.
No, but you can't be laughing at them like.
No, you can't.
No. You can laugh. I'm saying, but you're like the way you're saying.
Cool. If a prophet comes to you and says, "Oh, you're gonna have do you just accept it blindly, willingly?" Listen, but you even
Hear me out. I'm talking about the essence of the way you're saying laughter. Obviously, there might be a surprise laughter, like was it Sarah who laughed when God told her that you're gonna have a baby?
But
you gotta be like, clowning him like.
I don't know how she's laughing it, but I'm assuming it's a surprise laughter. Like,
okay.
Like,
How many times can you laugh out of surprise, Naps? How many times can you laugh out of surprise?
Bro, I can't lie. If too many guys are saying it to you, then you might be.
No, I'm saying that if this guy keeps coming back to you on a yo, but you know God said.
I just think, why is moving like that? Have a different move, bro.
If God has told you that she's for you, I promise you, it's gonna. If one time the way God wants it to work out, though.
That's why I say that there's a caveat to this, innit? It depends on.
Then that's just weird for him.
Do you
to
want
go
him?
up to
If you don't, just show him. That's great, innit? But go back to your prayer closet. It's not an outing at the very least, but it's just not me.
Even that.
Because you know what it is? I feel like some guys they try to.
But you know what? That's why it depends. Obviously, the person didn't give so much content to this. But do you know what? Because do you know what could be the case? She could be talking to the guy and he said that to her. That could be the case. Or it could be. Do you know what I'm saying? That's very different if it's just a random brother come up to her and said it. So that's what I say. If it's the case where you lot are talking or you have some sort of relations and you lot have entertained the idea of you two being together and he said that, link your prayer closet. However, but you should also tell him that he shouldn't communicate to you like that.
Because even if, say God does give you this dream or this vision of her, say God does give you this dream or this vision of her and that's the... Having that vision doesn't mean you go and tell her that I had this vision. There's a thing that remember in the back Uniqlo, by the way, I got the black and grey ones. They're nice. I can't lie. Listen, but you not Uniqlo, but you like remember that verse that we had about the podcast, and he was like, oh, like protect the blessing that God is giving you. Like that vision. If that's your wife and it's a vision about her, that's a very great blessing. Protect it. I'm gonna be going out here saying you're gonna be my wife because you're doing that.
You might even scare her, bro.
You're scaring. You're making God's work harder, bro.
I think some men do it to manipulate women, you know.
Yeah, 100%. There's that angle as well. I feel like with that angle as well,
because it kind of keeps them bound. Like.
With that angle as well, especially if you have a God-fearing woman, if you have a God-fearing woman, and you're saying to her, and I've seen it. I can't lie, I've seen it in my church and other churches I go to. Like some women and some men, they left like unmarried because someone told them, "Oh, God wants me for you. You just have to wait it out." And like they go on and they just disappear and they get married.
Yeah, or the thing of you're gonna marry a man of ginger hair, and then you wait for the ginger hair man, he never comes.
Because apparently he had his head dyed because they're like ginger. Now what are we doing? Like you know what I'm trying to say?
I know somebody who
to be fair,
told them you're gonna marry.
To be fair, like you're not even gonna hear about it unless you know the person because he's gonna go out and say, yeah, this is why I'm not married. Like it's very like this is bad, isn't it? Like
you know what?
It's a dark one.
See that question, you generally have to press onto it because I've seen like friends kind of like talking to me whereby they've met someone where they've had like a vision where God's saying, nah, that's not for you at that time. Or they have like a vision that may not be directed to God, but they think it's from God, which kind of like sways their decision on how they kind of move in it. But I think it's important, like in them type of situations, you really got to press on and not give too much away. It's kind of like the thing that kind of comes into mind here is like, let's say for instance, like I'm just thinking of something at the top of my head. Let's say for instance now when it comes to like, I don't know, like a Christmas gift and you see like a Christmas present like days before Christmas actually comes. If you decide to unwrap it very, very early on, you may not get the full picture of like, like who that gift was from or like why you're wrapping it so early. Whereas if you actually wait until like Christmas Day, when you know like
There's more
analogy acts.
when you know it's the right time, that's when you know you're able to fulfill it properly.
Don't get
And if you're a guy who's saying this to women, or women is saying this to guys, it's simple as it. If God gives you a vision, the first thing you should do is ask God, so what do I do next?
Yeah.
And also, if you're a person that God doesn't communicate with you through visions often, and now all of a sudden you have the vision, hey, please.
I read a book about that, innit? So one of the books I've heard, I mentioned it a couple of times, is How to Hear from God. And for for certain people, especially for certain seasons, there's certain reference points of how God communicates in that time. If, say, for instance, your normal communication with God is through visions or like through analogies, and then from somewhere else, it's like someone from the street that just meets you, says, yeah, I think that's the girl for you, etc. I think hold that with high scrutiny and see how you usually communicate with God. And it may not just be God talking to you like straight up, but like how you use your friends around you, how you use the people around you. Because like on a completely different topic, say for instance, like when it comes to like something I've experienced is like, say for instance, jobs, where I'm like, oh right, should I transition to this, should I transition to that? But then because I know how God usually communicates, especially with the people around me, I'm like, oh, you know what, I'll hold this with a pinch of salt. Maybe this ain't the one for me. So I'd say when it comes to like, you know,
my brother just has to stop being weird, bro.
Just kind of
You can't blame some guy that's got no flick in it.
Yeah.
And that's Hail Mary play, innit?
Yeah. Sometimes it'll be the commanders, bro.
You never know.
I don't know.
This question.
This question is a guy that wants to hear that.
This question is a bit deeper. I feel so demotivated in life, like a bum. I just graduated, and to be honest, my secret place has been in the gutter. I probably need to link. I think she means, or he means, probably need to link it. But I generally feel stuck. How do I get back on track? So
what secret place?
Quiet time.
The secret place.
I resonate with them. I can't lie. Like when I came out of uni, like not even just on a normal thing. Like even just coming back to my own house, and my parents and that, and like I didn't really pattern a job like a internship or anything post uni. Because like, it was kind of hard for my degree, I guess. But also I was kind of lazy. But either way,
see, everyone put on LinkedIn, they've just got they found a new job.
Yeah. I've seen all of that. I've seen people say they've got a new job already. I think one girl that I was with, like, she secured like it was like 80k, 90k.
You were with?
Huh?
What do you mean with?
What do you mean by that?
That was like, you needed me. Cool. But yeah, like, so when I came out, I felt like I was on a comparing thing a lot. Yeah. And I feel like the main problem is that you sometimes, it's not even just comparing with other people, but comparing how your life used to be. So for example, the reference point that person has for having such a gutter moment is that one day they used to not be in the gutter, and they're comparing that day to this day. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And first I would say don't do that. I generally, I'm like, from my experience, I've generally learned that I shouldn't compare how my days were with God last year to how it is now. Like I can't go back to then, so forget it. Like if those days were good, I want something greater. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, and I'm sure that even me myself back then in that moment, I probably thought that what I was in wasn't that great, and I wanted something greater anyway. So it's always a case of like, you have to look forward, press on. Like Paul uses the analogy of a race. Like if you fall down, you don't look back and think, oh, look at the distance I've traveled. No, you get up and you got to finish the race. So it's the same thing. Like I would say try your hardest to not compare. And if you're struggling with comparing yourself to other people, even to your old self, I would suggest that you go and you read about you read a lot of Psalms. I think Psalms helps a lot with like when you struggle with like inside conflict. So yeah, definitely read Psalms and take what Psalms are saying.
I was gonna say, like, even it kind of links to like the team devotional that we did this week about comparison.
Yeah,
like,
definitely that. Yeah.
And then like I always, one of the points is all about making the most of what God has given you now. Like maybe you've left university, you have no job. What has God given you now? Like maybe you're at home now. Maybe you have your family. You're building relationships with your parents. Maybe deeper relationships, or with your siblings. Or again, job applications. I guess like making the most of what you can do now. Apply to jobs. And if you're like stuck for direction, also making the most of what you do now in terms of like your relationship with God. Like you said that they said that they're feeling in the gutter. I think one. Not a quick fix, but like a fast is always like a nice way to get yourself back on track. Like taking a couple of days,
and getting someone to partner with you on the fast.
Yeah. I literally did that with someone as well, and so like I think those are things that kind of really help. And again, like Nap said, like you're not a bum. There's somebody probably who's working in tech and they feel like they're a bum because they're comparing themselves to the person who works in markets. Do you get what I mean? And so like Nap said, like just be content with what you have. Even though it's really hard, but seek God to get that contentment. Like cause the contentment is not from what you have. It starts with God. So
and also that you're a child of God as well. Like no matter what, I feel like once if you're in the faith and that you know that you're a child of God, that like no matter what kind of stage you're in, like how bad or in the gut you feel, you still have the glory of being a child of God. So like have some joy in that as well.
Yeah.
Like, try hold on to that.
Just something quick. Something that somebody said to me when I finished uni. Actually, a friend of mine at the time said this. That you see, when you finish a season, even in prayer and stuff like that, it's good to reflect and actually close that time. And like kind of just take stock of what you just went through. Like sit before God, reflect on your uni. What did you learn? Kind of close the book on that chapter, but in a healthy way. Because otherwise, you feel like you're still there, but life is not enjoying the same way it was. When uni is free, and sometimes you need to just kind of like close the book on that and then see, God, cool, where are we going next?
Just to speak on that as well, like what you shared, Naps, I had like a similar experience, like coming out of uni, took me time to get a job. Just in that season where you feel in your mind that you're in the gutter, I feel like that's when the hidden gems of what God is doing you for the next thing coming up will, is something that will be revealed to your life. Because one thing, like in my case, that I realised that I didn't think I had from that season was a level of resilience. That I did it, even though there were some lonely, dark times where I thought I could, not. It got kind of repetitive through prayers, but I didn't realise that I could actually, trust in God so much that I have the resilience to keep on going, keep on powering. So I think to whoever that person is, I think one thing they've got to just remind themselves is that in their bird's eye view, they may see it as the gutter, but really, truly, the roots to their life, something else has been created to go down even deeper for them. So keep up, keep going.
Last question, which is quite linked, I think is a good one to end on. There's so much pressure as a Christian to know what you're doing. Every day someone's talking about purpose and calling. What if I don't know that, and how do I navigate that?
Before you guys answer it, this one I can relate to a lot. The reason why I say this here is that more on a personal thing, I realised that when it comes to like questions like that, say for instance like what the guys are doing on the pod and how they further extend that into like ministry or like speaking at churches, etc. Whereas like for my own life now, it's like, okay, I'm just kind of like working, what am I doing with God right now? Sometimes it almost feels like, like what is actually truly my purpose in my own individual life? I don't want to just think that, part of the podcast, that's my true purpose. Like, and I got to a stage where I was kind of like chasing lost shadows, thinking, I should go and try this thing with God or try that thing with God, but not actually coming into a place to meditate and be like, God, like what do you truly want from my life? And I think when whoever that answers that question or whoever can resonate, when you continue trying to seek purpose or continue trying to strive, sometimes you lose the depth that you're doing it not only to like do it for the sake of doing it, but you lose the purpose of like, at the end of the day, let me be content of where I am right now. And I think that's the danger that I kind of got to, where in the position and the season I am, let me remain content first, and then whatever God has set for me will come after. And I've seen it like with different like Christians that I need to go do this, I need to go do that, and they're always running, and
that's true.
Not actually coming to a place of contentment that I'm in a season whereby I may not know what I'm doing right now, but I'm here, I'm content, I have good people around me, I'm able to at least spread the gospel in my own unique way. It doesn't have to be like, you have to be a preacher or be a leader of worship to go and be like, I'm fulfilling that purpose to the limit. Your time will come. Just ensure that, in the season that you are content in all that you do, innit? But I just wanted to share that.
I think that's a great thing. Like, just your sole purpose is to be a child of God. That's the purpose that you have first, to be a child of God, to pursue righteousness. So that's 2 Timothy chapter 2, I think. Pursue righteousness, love, faith, and all of those things. That is your number one purpose. And so set your eyes on that before anything else. Like, you don't need to be thinking about what I need to do in the long run so much. Like, that should never be second to what should I do in the long run, if that makes sense. Like, that should always be number one. So Axe is right. Like, keep that as number one priority. And in terms of what's it called? Sorry, I even lost it. What do I do if I don't know my calling, and how do I navigate that? I think also figure out, like, do you want to know your calling because everyone else is pressuring you to know your calling, or do you want to? Are you ready to hear what?
Like, if God told you where it was, are you ready to action?
Do you get what I mean? Like, because I feel like a lot of time you feel like maybe you've gone to this church conference, and now they're all
Yeah.
talking about purpose and calling.
Yeah,
Everyone's telling me,
yeah,
I'm doing this. I'm getting ready to do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm starting up this social media thing.
Yeah.
I'm becoming a preacher. I'm doing this. Like, figure out, like, am I in the right place to even seek God to know what I'm doing long term? Because, like, God might not, like, God has a time for when he comes to, for example, like, David was working with the shepherds, and one day, you know, you got the anointing that you're going to be king, you're going to be king.
But he didn't
like,
become king straight away.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah,
He wasn't like, I'm not saying it's a wrong thing to go out searching for purpose, but do you get what I mean? Like, there's an appointed time, if that makes sense, that God will reveal things to you. And so, like, God knows, I guess, when you're ready to kind of hear from it. So you don't let everybody else chasing and finding their purpose and callings be a reason for you to go and find it. Because first of all, I think it won't even be an enjoyable process. And I don't think you'll even be able to seek God truly for it, because it's like you're doing it out of guilt, pressure. There isn't sincerity. I think even with that posture, I don't think God would even speak to you. I think it kind of links to the James 4 scripture that you're asking amiss. You're asking out of fear or out of condemnation or guilt. That's not the posture to go to God with. So
you know, there's an interesting sermon that I was in a few weeks ago talking about the restoration of Peter, and I feel like the reason why I want to just explain this is, when it comes to like purpose, I think sometimes we have this misconception of, okay, once we then give our life to Christ, we kind of forget how our characteristics were, or the life that we lived was first, and realize that those type of things can be tailored towards what God's got us next, or our true purpose. So in the story of Peter, one thing that I learned, so I think it was in John 21, I was talking about when Jesus came again to go and see Peter. And Peter recognized Jesus instantly. And the key thing that I learned from that is that initially Peter was, he was a fisherman. But in him now setting his purpose for living for Christ, he was now fishing for different men to try and women to try and bring them closer to Christ. And I think that's the important thing for us to realize, that in the characteristics that we have before Christ, or even during our early stages, understand that those things can be cultivated in a way that you can get the best out of yourself. So like, if I give like an example from the pod, let's say for instance, the enemy is known for someone that's been a speaker before giving his life to Christ. Now he's been able to cultivate that and use that into now speaking much more thoroughly in depth when it comes to sermons. And I think that's very important, that when it comes to seek your purpose, see what's already around you, and hopefully through prayer, let that be cultivated in a way to
that your purpose might not be as hidden as you assume.
I think we overcomplicate it as Christians. Like, it's funny because it's the way people speak about it compared to how much is spoken about in the Bible. You're put here for one purpose only: glorify God. Do that with what you have. Do that with what's in front of you. If that means clean the church. If that means speaking to your friends about the gospel, so be it. Go to work, do your job, and glorify God in them.
And from then, God will.
Yeah, you get me. You'll stamble into what's for you.
You know.
Why don't you? You haven't contended for it, bro.
Yeah. I was gonna say, 2 books that I read, like kind of like with this sort of
Purpose-Driven Life
by Rick Warren. That's one of them called.
I need to read that.
And also A Young Man After God's Own Heart by Jim George as well. I don't know for the ladies, I don't know if there's a female alternative, but you can read it too, I guess. It's the same God, isn't it? But but both books, like, I think there is, but yeah, both books, like, they give you a sense of like, to a bit more like calm down with chasing your purpose so much, but understand like the original purpose that you all share together as people anyways. But
I like being said quite simply, like, I really believe if you follow the fundamental purpose of glorifying God, you're gonna stumble into that great calling, if that makes sense.
Yeah, your whole life is a sacrifice, not the calling or the great thing that you're.
I think another question itself, which we don't obviously because of time, but like, what even makes someone have those types of questions in the first place? Is it pressures from around? Is it pressures from the church?
Church as well, I guess.
And that's something that's not spoken about.
Or is it pressure from your brethren?
Even remember we said last time, last episode when we spoke about the trying to get into groups and friends and stuff like that, like seeing different people have their groups and you see, that person we're chilling with, that the guy that always shares the Bible study, and you're like, you know what, like, let me find my calling to be that person that people want to come around to. Like, you want to serve God because serving God kind of like makes people gravitate towards you, but again, it's not just serving God, you're serving people doing it. So it's techie.
Man.
Great questions, guys.
I love a Q&A.
We love a Q&A, man.
When the new year comes, after
This
some more Q&A episodes,
that quick fire stuff.
Oh, that could be
Bongo, bro.
But guys are trying to do quick fire. There's no yes or no answers. Anyway,
Bro, ask them to send in yes or no answers.
you ask them to send a yes or no answers.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
God.
We out.
We out, man. We out.
See you soon.